This is an overview of our PoE Wi-Fi video doorbell.
CCTV Camera World is proud to provide support for products purchased from our website. If you purchased your product from another vendor, please contact the vendor you purchased from for further assistance.
Here's what comes with our doorbell camera. It's a PoE camera with Wi-Fi. This is the box. I've already emptied the contents here to display. This is the doorbell camera. It is both Wi-Fi and PoE. It comes with a backplate, which is also a water shield cover. You basically, when you install it, it goes this way. This notch goes along with the top of the doorbell. And then you screw this into the wall, and then you can knock this out to run any wires in the back. So here is the knockout. You knock that out with a screwdriver, and you can run any cables through the back. It comes with another doorbell. So if you're, another backplate. So if you're mounting the doorbell in a very dry area, then you can use this. I believe it goes like this on the bottom. There's an inset screw here that actually locks it into this plate or this one as well. That secures it so no one steals your doorbell and runs away with it. We provide a 12-volt DC 1 amp power supply that has a male power plug on it. And inside this bag there are multiple cables, pigtails, and a screwdriver. And let me just empty those out and go over them one by one. So this bag is really important, and so is this inset screw, which is kind of loose inside the pink bag. Make sure you don't lose it, because this is the one that screws into the plate and into the doorbell, so it's secure. I'm gonna put it back in the bag. A bag of screws to mount your mounting plate to your medium. And then here's a screwdriver with a hex bit. That use the little hex screw that comes for the bottom plate. That's what this is for. And now the most important things. A little quick start guide that shows you the different mounting styles you have. Please make sure you go through that. It explains how to use the cover or the back plate. Both are explained in here. It's pretty simple. What I'm going to go through is show you the back of the doorbell and the front. The front has a button here. If someone walks up to the doorbell, they press it. It rings back to your phone if you have it properly connected, and the person can talk through it and you can see them. Mic here, speaker there, lens here, IRs inside. So when someone comes up and presses the button on the ringer, the IR lights up so you can see him in complete darkness as well. On the back, it explains to you what the connections inside here are. So there is a LAN connection, that's for PoE actually. So right there, there's a PoE connection. And then there's a connection here for this breakout cable, wiring harness basically, that connects to one of the connectors in there. You have to make sure that when you're connecting it, you line up their rivets on the connector. Make sure you're lining them up correctly. So what you can do is unscrew this out and then connect it in there to make sure it's properly seated. There's also a micro SD slot in there. You have to properly put in a suitable micro SD up to, I believe, a 256 gig micro SD. So I'm going to unscrew this open just to show you how to connect everything. So I'm going to take back the screwdriver, take the Phillips end, thread it into here, and then tighten it. Make sure it doesn't pull out. You can use your own screwdriver if you have one, but this works. So I'm going to unscrew this open first. Please don't lose these screws. We don't have spares. We cannot provide you spares or order them. We do an inventory check on all of these items before we ship them to make sure all the screws are there. So if you lose something, unfortunately, we won't be able to replace them. So now that I've removed the top cover, you can see that there's a PoE port here, micro SD slot, and a slot for the breakout cable. This is the breakout cable or wiring harness. We may use that term interchangeably. This black spot marks the top here this way. And then you push down on the connector and set it in. And that's it. Please try not to break this. We cannot repair it if it's broken. We make sure it's not broken before we ship it to you. We do test everything on video. So this is how the wiring harness is set into the doorbell. You replace this back and you screw it. Before I go there, Let me show you something else. A micro SD slot. This thing will take, I believe, up to 256 gig micro SD. We use Samsung Evos Pros. Will work as well. So when you put it in, there's a little picture on there. It shows you how to insert the micro SD, what's orientation. You want to use this orientation going in and gently tap it in there. There's a clicking mechanism. When you hear the click, that means it's properly connected. And then if you want to take it out, you press it again, and it comes out. You gently slide it out, bring it back out. This is not meant for you to be putting in this in frequently and taking it out, because that will break the mechanism. So please make note of that. Leave it inside once you put it in, and then you can access it through the app. Now let me explain to you the connectors on this wiring harness. We put this on. This is power. It's a DC 12 volt rated. It is red is positive, black is negative. All DC voltage has polarity. You have to make sure you maintain that. Otherwise, you'll fry the doorbell. Here on this terminal, there's a positive noted here on this side and a negative on this side. Be very careful. If you were to remove this and then replace it back, red is positive, black is negative. Okay. To connect this doorbell, when you are connecting it to Wi-Fi, it's very simple. You have it sitting on a bench top like this. Connect this AC adapter to power to 110 and connect these two together. And that's it. It'll power on. Take a network cable, plug it in here, connect it to your router, and then you can find it using its IP address or our IP config tool from our Windows PC, from a Windows PC. Get into the intercom, or sorry, get into the doorbell, and then connect to your Wi-Fi. Once it's done, you can then basically disconnect the network cable and go mount it where you need to. So once you've configured it, there are two ways to connect it to power. The first way is if you're wanting to use this over Wi-Fi, you would use this 12 volt power supply. Do not use any existing doorbell power supply you may have, because that may be AC voltage and it'll fry this. So you want to use this power supply we provide and this one only. Do not cut anything off of this power supply, because it has polarity on it. Just like there's red and white, there's a stripe for positive and a solid for negative. The best way to do this is if you have bare wire in between where your power supply is going and where your doorbell is going. If you have existing bare wire for your old doorbell, what you can do is you can splice into it by using this female power pigtail, connecting it to the power supply. Taking this male power pigtail, connecting it to the doorbell, and then splicing these two together into your wire, making sure with your wire, whatever color it may be, you use the same color on each side, for the red being positive and the black being negative. So just make sure you don't reverse the polarity. Otherwise, although it may look right on when you're connecting it to your wire, if your wire on one side is crossing over from positive to negative or vice versa, it'll end up damaging the intercom. And no warranty will cover that, unfortunately. So this black and red is negative. Red is positive. That's because the center barrel of these connectors is positive, outside is negative. So that's the first way of connecting it with 12 volt DC power to connect it to Wi-Fi. The other way you could do this is you could remove and not even use this wiring harness and simply use PoE. Let me show you how that looks like. It's much simpler. You don't need any of that stuff. All you need is this, plus a network cable and a PoE injector. So let me show you how simple that is. You got a PoE injector. It comes with a 110 cord to power the PoE injector. And the PoE injector plugs in here. So I'm going to do red for power and data. Imagine you have a Cat5e wire going all the way from your doorbell back to your PoE injector somewhere in your attic or in your basement. On this PoE injector, one side says power plus data and the other one just says data in. The power plus data on our PoE injector gets plugged into the doorbell. You take a network wire, another Cat5e or Cat6, this goes to your router. And then here, this gets plugged into 110. So what a PoE injector does is it provides PoE power and data to the device, in this case the doorbell camera, and then bridges it over to your network so that you can actually communicate it over a wired network. So then now this is a much easier to do connection, because all you need is one Cat 5e wire go into the doorbell, and that's pretty much it. And everything gets taken care of by your router and this PoE injector. These are not weatherproof. Make sure they're placed inside of your basement and protected from the elements and water. Same goes for this, not waterproof. Any connections you make between pigtails, if you're stuffing wires into walls and stuff like that, please make sure you use electrical tape to wrap the connections up so they don't short out. Same goes for here. In case you have a leak in your basement or something, if you're connecting these two together, make sure you wrap them in electrical tape as well. And then when you connect these to your bare wire, make sure you're using proper wire splicing connectors to protect them as well. So that's pretty much it. Wraps up how to connect this doorbell camera.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.